understand who the fuck I am on this US land. I let my hair grow, then I cut it off. Put a couple lines in it, cause you know I'm never coming soft. I do a lot of shows and I get a lot of stares. I got a lot of haters, but really who cares?
Episode 7. Lucky number 7. Mitch, please. We are back. Took a little 2-week break, guys. Trying to get that awareness up. Trying to get that notoriety up of this show. Trying to get those likes up. Trying to get those views up. Let's do it, guys. Let's continue to spread the word here. Share this episode. Like Mitch, please, on Facebook. Invite your friends to like Mitch, please, on Facebook. It's a big deal. I want to get these views up. I want to do a lot more with this show. So I'm going to continue to keep pumping them out here. And I'm really appreciating everybody that is listening, the audience that I have established. You guys are awesome. If we're probably getting new listeners all the time, so if this is your first time listening, thank you very much. We got a jam-packed show for you once again this week. What we got going on is simple. I mean, Ginger Daniels is going to come on board here in just a minute. We're going to talk about WWE Money in the Bank. Myself and Ginger sat back. We watched the show. We really enjoyed it, and we'll be getting into that shortly. Also, Rachel Myles of the Chico comedy scene will be joining us on the show. And I got to be honest with you guys. When I was interviewing her, I wasn't expecting to get some of the content and some of the some of the descriptions and situations that she had experienced. I didn't know her story. I knew it was probably an interesting story, but her story is it's incredible, and it's raw, guys. There's a lot of stuff in there that might not be suitable for all ages, but I want to just once again thank Rachel for being so honest and so upfront and so brave to share her story the way that she did. I think you guys are really going to be taken aback by her story. And once again, nothing but respect and admiration for Rachel Myles. Make sure you guys follow her on all her social media and keep up with what she's doing. And one more thing, guys. I checked out some live stand-up comedy at Gold Country Casino this last week. I saw my buddy Drake Nelson. I hadn't seen him in 4+ years. Saw him do his thing up there with Huck Flynn from Comedy Central, and it was a great show, man. It was great to see Drake. We hung out all night long. We had a great time catching up, and I just want to announce right now that next week, episode 8 of Mitch Please will feature Drake Nelson. So I'm real excited to share that with you guys. It was a great interview, and that will be next week. But this week, like I said, let's talk about some WWE Money in the Bank pay-per-view WWE Network show. We're going to cut over to that discussion. Myself, Ginger Daniels, let's get over there. Money in the Bank, shorty, what you drank? Well, I'll tell you what we drank was about a 12-pack of Blue Pabst Ribbon. I'm sitting here poolside. This is very romantic, actually. It feels like nothing I've ever experienced. I'm sitting here. We're going to talk to you about Money in the Bank, what we saw, what we witnessed, which was pretty interesting stuff, especially towards the end. Welcome to Mitch Please right now, Ginger Daniels.
How's it going? It's my pool's a little green though. It's not that romantic.
Yeah, it's a little green, but you know what I mean? But yeah, man, we're out here. We just watched the pay-per-view, man. I mean, do you call it a pay-per-view? Because it went like 25 minutes over if you ordered the pay-per-view. It was unlike anything I'd ever seen. It was like $7.50, and Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins are coming to the ring, and I'm just like, dude, what's going on? Like, I've never seen them go past, the 8 o'clock Pacific time. But I guess, like you had mentioned, because it's on the network now, they can do that. What'd you think overall, man? How'd you like the show?
The beginning parts and from the tag matches until the John Cena match with AJ Styles, they were kind of lackluster. I wasn't too impressed. I was hoping for maybe a title change for the tag titles, but when they mentioned how many days they held the title, I knew there was going to be a new record on the rise.
Yeah, man. That's what we were talking about, how the opening match, was the four-way for the tag belts. It was New Day defending their titles against the Vaudevillians, whatever the hell their name is, Enzo and Cass, and, of course, Gallows and Anderson. And I thought Gallows and Anderson were going to get those belts. I felt that they needed those belts. They really haven't done very much with those guys. But as we had discussed, and the announcer had mentioned about Paul London and Brian Kendrick having that long reign, I think they're just going to have the New Day break that reign. Yeah, and what was the match after that, Ginger?
It was Ziggler and Baron Corbin, and that was one of the sloppiest matches of the night, in my opinion.
Money in the Botch, I heard, was the subtitle for this one. No, you know what? It was going back to the four-way tag, man. There was just a little miscommunication there at the end. I mean, it happens. You got all those bodies in the ring. I mean, that's going to happen. But going back to the four-way tag, I mean, I thought it was a pretty good match. Again, I didn't expect the New Day to retain, but but that's just the direction they're going. And then, yes, Dolph Ziggler and Baron Corbin, those guys have wrestled 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times, over the last couple months, and wasn't their best match, I wouldn't say.
No. Ziggler's normally pretty solid, and he was the one looking very botchy.
Yeah, I mean, it's some guys just they don't mesh well or whatever. I don't know though. I mean, Ziggler and Corbin have they've put on some good matches, and this match wasn't bad. Really, thinking back, I mean, it really wasn't that bad. I think the right guy did go over. They're pushing Corbin. I don't know what they're doing with Ziggler, but what do you think of Baron Corbin?
I think he needs some more refining. He's pretty green still. Mic work, he's almost there with his ring work. I think they're going to start pushing him really hard since he's already won the Battle Royal, the Andre the Giant one. He's going over Ziggler, an established veteran. I think by the end of the year he'll have either the IC or the US title.
Yeah, I can see that happening. And then what shocked me, man, is I thought after doing these two matches, I thought they really should have got to one of the big three matches. I thought they should have gone to the ladder. I thought, and I'm jumping all over the place here, I thought AJ and Cena should have been the main event, but now I see why it wasn't because of what happened, and we'll get to that. But I really felt Styles and Cena should have been the main event. But before Styles and Cena, what did we get? We have no notes here, guys. We're just, like I said.
It was the women's tag match. That was number 3.
Right, Charlotte and Dana Brooke against Becky Lynch and Natalya. Mm-hmm. And they had the big heel turn on the end with Natalya.
Yes. And I thought that was good for her because she's kind of, in my opinion, she's a talented wrestler. She's kind of iffy on the mic as a babyface, but I think the heel turn is a good direction for her. It gives something new for the women's division because there's a lot of faces.
Yeah, it was something different they needed to do. I mean, I can't even remember Natalya ever being a heel, or at least a established pushed heel in her tenure in WWE. So yeah, no, I think it'll be interesting.
I would say if I could remember when her and Tyson Kidd and Davey Boy Smith's son, Harry Smith, came in. They were heels. They were kind of heelish. So that was the last time she was really heel.
Yeah, no doubt. So you had that match. Just again, nothing special. And then again, here we go. We got Apollo Crews coming out against Sheamus. I thought when I saw Apollo Crews get attacked by Sheamus a couple weeks ago, I said, you know what though? I really think these two would work well together and have a good match. And they did have a good match. It was a pretty damn good match. It just wasn't anything, spectacular jumping out. The crowd wasn't really into it either.
No, I think the crowd just wasn't into it. As I was talking to you, I was feeling that Sheamus is on his way down the ladder, so the crowd is just not into it. I think he's going to start doing some movies, because I heard he did a good job on that one movie he did with some turtles. Yeah,
no, he killed it in Ninja Turtles. But as we talked about last week on Mitch Please, episode 6 of Mitch Please, we talked about Ninja Turtles, and we talked about Sheamus's performance, and he did a great job in that, man. And yeah, I mean, who knows? He's been there for 6 or 7 years, and we'll see what happens with Sheamus. But he did lose. He did get rolled up by Apollo Crews, so I think that's good for Apollo Crews. I like the guy. I think he's an incredible athlete. It'll be interesting to see where they go with him. What do you think of Apollo Crews?
I think he's going to be good. He's going to be somebody. I think they should build on him for a while. He's got the body of, very muscular big guy, but he moves around like a cruiserweight. So I really like his style. I think of him as kind of a hybrid.
Yeah, no, if he can just, I think, up his promo game, I think he'll be forced to be reckoned with. And, just be careful on some of those flips, man, because he is a big, jacked up guy and doing all those flips a lot and moving around the way that he does. I mean, we'll see. I feel the same way about Big E, man. Big E always takes some nasty spills, and he's got that huge frame. But, man, these guys are tough, man. These guys are tough, and they're tested. But so yeah, we'll see what happens with Apollo, and then finally, right? Then finally we get a good match that we're ready and we're excited for. No disrespect to any other guys on the card, but this AJ Styles John Cena match is something that people have wanted to see for a long, long time. I mean, were you pretty anticipated and hyped about this match, Ginger?
Oh, of course I was, definitely. That's why I had to pause it a couple times when I was had to step away from the pay-per-view, because that was just one of those matches I anticipated.
You out there getting your grill on, man. You were grilling steaks. You were doing important things.
Of course.
And you're not a big John Cena fan, right? You thought John Cena was going to win this match, or what were you feeling going in?
No, I'm not a big John Cena fan. I was at first, and then it's just like all these titles so fast in such a short period of time and being crammed, and that's just not my thing. I respect what he's done, but I just feel like, he's been the top guy for so long that AJ needed the win because he hasn't won a match since before WrestleMania, I believe.
On pay-per-view.
A big pay-per-view match, yeah. So I felt like the win was needed for AJ, and what the direction they're going to go with the club, they needed one of them to win since the other guys didn't win.
I thought it was crazy. It was ironic. As I said, we were drinking some Blue Pabst Ribbon tonight, and I was boycotting Blue Pabst Ribbon until you said, oh, well, I got a 12-pack, and it's all we got. So I was like, well, I guess I'll have to drink 1 or 6. But what was crazy was John Cena had that controversy with Blue Pabst that I actually talked about on this show before, and he was wearing that horrible shirt that he was wearing. He was supposed to be wearing the Blue Pabst Ribbon shirt. He came out tonight, as we record this, he came out tonight wearing the Blue Pabst shirt as we were drinking Blue Pabst. I thought that was pretty crazy, pretty ironic, man. What do you think?
It was the power of the ginger.
That's right. So, go ahead.
I think some monetary consignment was done. Since they had that little dispute, I think Cena and WWE worked something out. Mainly WWE worked something out monetarily so that they could use that on the Cena shirt.
No doubt. Something was worked out, and that's good because it's a cool-looking shirt. But what I noticed early on, man, the crowd came to life for this match. In fact, arguably, this was the loudest the crowd had got up until the very finish of the end of the show with everything that went down, and we're going to have to get to that here pretty soon. But I thought AJ, it looked like when Cena hit him with that monkey flip right at the start, I mean, it looked like AJ just bonked his head. It felt like there was a lot of miscommunication. You could hear Cena just kind of yelling stuff at AJ. It was a good match. The crowd was really into it, chanting, loving it. They probably didn't notice. I kind of noticed some things, and you, Ginger, you noticed some things as well. AJ looked pretty, I hope he's okay. Maybe I could be wrong here, but AJ looked like he got rocked, and even after the match, his eyes were glazed. I mean, I hope he's all right. What'd you think of the match overall?
The match overall was definitely lived up to its hype. I'm glad of it, and I'm glad that AJ's okay. I felt like his bill may have been wrong. I'm no expert, but I think some of the moves he did, I don't think somebody with a concussion, if there was one, could have done those moves. But AJ Styles is a phenomenal wrestler. So yeah, I think.
Well, there's different levels of concussions because you know you can get just smashed. There's grades, there's levels, and you know what it did for me. You know, in my experience was just some memory loss. You know, forgetting like, oh my, what are we doing here? Like I don't even know. But anyways, it's a good match. The club came out. Gallows and Anderson came out. They cost when the ref went down. Club came out, cost Cena the match there. And I mean, whatever. I mean, if that's how they're gonna have AJ win, that's fine. And then we'll see where they go. I'm really shocked here with where they went after this.
I'm feeling like maybe there could be like because the club kind of modeled it in Japan. They modeled themselves as an NWO, so I think we'll have that kind of action in WWE where they all stick together and help each other.
Yeah, and where does Finn Balor play into this? You know, he's supposed to wrestle, Nakamura at the at the next Takeover special, right? Or what's the deal with that? At Brooklyn, yeah.
Is it going to be Brooklyn?
Yeah, they're going to wrestle at Brooklyn. So I don't know what they're doing with the club. We'll see what happens. But then we go into the Money in the Bank ladder match. It was a 6-man advertised all for the last couple weeks, but then I swear, as we watched the pre-show, they advertised it as a 7-man ladder match, and they had Kalisto in there, which for me, I was like, oh my god. I was very frustrated because number one, Kalisto was wrestling with Sin Cara against the Dudleys in the pre-show, which we didn't talk about, but I didn't want to talk about how they're using the Dudleys. They're just jobbing them out every single week. It's really frustrating. I feel the Dudleys should be the tag champs with Enzo and Cass on the chase, but regardless, Kalisto was not in the match. It was a 6-man ladder match. I don't know what that was. I don't know if that was an error on the graphic department's end. I mean, I thought if they were going to go with the 7th member, they should have done a surprise. But regardless of that, the 6 guys, Alberto Del Rio, Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, Sami Zayn. Help me out here, Ginger. Dean Ambrose.
Cesaro.
And Cesaro. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
And so the 6 guys, and they tore it down. I thought they had I thought it was probably the match of the night. What'd you think?
Yeah, I would say it was the second best match of the night. I think as much as I don't like Cena in it, and I think Cena and AJ was the best match of the night. The crowd was much louder during that match, but I thought I had to go do a couple things as I got a family, but I thought from what I saw it was a lot of action. And that's what the Money in the Bank should be.
And it's so hard because these Money in the Bank matches and these other ladder matches, and it's so hard to come up with new stuff. But the couple things that stuck out to me was, Kevin Owens had, I think it was Sami Zayn stuck up on the apron with the ladder, and he goes back like he's going to charge him and run up the ladder, and then he just like punches him in the face. I thought that was great. And I thought having all 6 guys up on like 4 ladders, the way they had it set up with all brawling out, I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, it was a good match. I mean, you might be right. I mean, you could say Cena AJ was the match of the night, but I don't know. I personally thought the ladder match. I like sometimes the car crash matches. They're fun, especially as a fan. Watching as a fan here. So, finish comes. I thought Kevin Owens was going to win. You were saying Dean Ambrose all night, and what happened?
Oh, it was Dean Ambrose won it, and to me, it was the right guy because. Once the Shield broke up, he was the guy who ate shit the most. Excuse my language if there's any kids listening, but...
Come on, you got a family, you said. What are you doing?
Well, they're learning the words too. So, I feel like he's been the one, like, that has been at the bottom of the barrel. He's been, the jobber to the main events, but winning, the televised shows. So I feel like it was due time for him.
I thought it was predictable the way they were booked it on Raw. I mean, it was like Ambrose, the way they booked Raw was the way that Money in the Bank ended up turning out. I mean, we had Dean Ambrose win the contract, win the briefcase, and then of course before that before the main event we had Titus and Titus and Rusev, and it was kind of a throwaway match. Much respect to those guys. Rusev is actually really getting entertaining with some of the stuff he's doing. I'm actually starting to really. I'm more into Rusev now than I was a year ago or 6 months ago. So, quick thoughts on that match?
What helps Rusev is Lana.
Yeah, Lana's got it going on. So, where was Stephanie and Shane, man? Where were they at?
They're probably at their Connecticut home having a barbecue with their dad on Father's Day.
Ah, yes, Father's Day. We forgot to mention, yeah. Yes. No, happy Father's Day to you, man, and all the fathers out there. in the middle of our breakdown here, leading up to the main event, which was Roman Reigns defending the title against Seth Rollins. And again, I was like blown away because the time, I was like, they're going to have a 3-minute match, but it ended up going long. You know, it was a pretty good match. You know, for the most part, it was just kind of what I expected from those guys. Seth Rollins is incredible. He kind of wrestled like a babyface, doing all those flips, and I love that spear into the pedigree. What'd you think of the match?
It was boring at the beginning. Like, it was really slow, and then, you know, about halfway through is when it started getting good, you know, like spearing through the barricade wall, like the pedigree with the spear into the pedigree, the multiple finishers, breaking up the nobody went through a table, but breaking up the table, showing Roman actually showing some emotion, like he just had a foul look on his face the whole match, and maybe they're getting it right finally with Rollins is facing him out.
I don't know what they're doing. I have no idea what they're doing. I honestly thought they were building Roman Reigns versus John Cena at SummerSlam for the belt, and they still might go that way. But what happened was Seth Rollins, I believe it was a second pedigree, clean finish.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, new champ. And of course, you know, as Dean Ambrose promised on Raw, you know, we're calling it. I'm calling it the whole time. You know, here he comes Ambrose. And I thought maybe somebody would stop him or something would, you know, something fugazi would happen. But no, man, Ambrose smashes him from behind. Oh, that sounded good. Smashed him from behind with the briefcase to the face and started the match. And Dean Ambrose, man, what'd you think? Well, first of all, what'd you think, Ginger? We got to wrap up here pretty shortly, but Seth Rollins winning the belt, and then what transpired with Dean Ambrose cashing in, smashing in, and Dirty Deeds 1, 2, 3. Dean Ambrose, your new WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
Well, since Dean Ambrose has been my guy since the days of the Shield, I was really excited about it.
He's your guy, huh?
He's my guy. Yes, if I was gay, he'd be my guy.
Oh man, but hope your wife don't listen to the show here, man. You're gonna be in some trouble.
Yeah, well, yeah, she's not gonna listen.
Wow, man, I hope she does. No, I hope everybody's listening, man. I hope you guys are having a good time. I hope you guys enjoyed our recap of WWE Money in the Bank. You know, man, I couldn't done it without you here, Ginger. Thank you very much, man. I want to get you back on the show down the line, but, you know, thanks for helping me break this thing down here and talk about, you know, WWE Money in the Bank. Where can people find more out about Ginger Daniels?
Well, we failed to mention that I also do the stand-up comedy with you, but you could find me on Facebook at Ginger Daniels. I have a Twitter, but I don't really follow it, so I have to look it up real quick.
While you're on Twitter, while you're looking to people follow on Twitter, definitely follow at HeartbreakerMV. No, I just want to throw that in there while you're searching there on your phone, Ginger. I mean, yeah, man, you're on Facebook, Ginger Daniels. Go ahead and like that page on Facebook. You do stand-up comedy. Yeah, you're a huge wrestling fan, and we just, like I said, met a month or so ago, and we both do the comedy thing. We both love wrestling. We just clicked, and now here we are talking about the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, and here we are plugging your Twitter, which is
the cat at Ginger D 1981, and I'll just also say, like, this month has been fate since we have so many things in common, and I'm on next month on the 26th. You will find me at the 27th at Wind River Casino.
It's the 27th of July.
27th of July, yes.
That's a big deal, man. Wind River Casino. You're going to perform at a casino, Wind River. I'm going to have to be there, bro. I'm going to tell you right now. If I don't have anything going on, I want to come with you. Can I come with you?
You can definitely come with me. We'll caravan.
All right, Ginger Daniels, thank you for coming on the show, man. And right now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut over to our interview with Rachel Myles from the Chico comedy scene. Don Ashby, Jerm Leather, and now my guests this week on Mitch Please are experiencing the world famous, probably at this point, awkward back alley with a barbed wire fence. Currently we have no trucks or bikes riding by, so that's a great thing. My guest this week on Mitch Please, Rachel Myles. Rachel, welcome to the show.
Hello, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing a bit of all right.
I'm a big fan of your lipstick.
Thank you. It's quite shoddily done tonight, actually, in my opinion.
Shoddily? Can you define that for me?
Shoddy? Like shoddy work?
Oh, okay. I thought there was an L. I thought there might have been two L's.
I did say there was an L in it. I might have made that word up.
All right, Rach. So I got to talk about the first night I met you. Mm-hmm. The first night I remember meeting you which I think was, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was after the 2015 Chico Comedy Festival, but it was randomly, it wasn't at the festival, it was randomly after at Duffy's. I walk into Duffy's and I get a Hams or whatever I get, and then you yell out Mitch Valentine, and I'm just like, whoa, wait a second, a pretty girl is actually yelling my persona, my character persona name. This is I've dreamed about this. So I go up and you introduce yourself to me. Was that the first night you remember? Do you remember that night?
Yeah, I vaguely remember that night. I spent a lot of nights in Duffy's though, so. But I remember you when I first started coming and doing stand-up comedy back in 2014, November, yeah. October 2014. And yeah, I remember you because you tell that joke about...
Oh, let's start. Which there was horrible, especially in 2014. I gotta cut you off because I'm sure it was horrible. But no. But what I remember though, yeah, I did briefly in late 2014. But I just was like, oh my gosh, this beautiful girl knows me. Like, oh my gosh. But then of course, you went home, and then I was like, went over to the tackle box and had their all-you-can-eat breakfast for $5 while they were doing
the breaks the record.
Yeah,
thing.
while they're doing
Chico breaks the record.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah. But it was a good breakfast. And speaking of breakfast, you just told me that your roommate threw breakfast food into one of your... What happened?
Yeah, he's OCD, and things got really sour, but he's like... It wasn't like sour angry. He put a bunch of... I was unpacking my boxes at my new place, and I look in, and there's like an egg crate in my box, and I'm like, what is going on? And I grabbed the egg crate, and then I noticed there's a leftover food box, too. And then there's also bologna, a package of bologna, and it's all moldy.
And pancakes?
Yeah, pancakes.
With blueberries.
Apple walnut pancakes.
Apple walnut, okay.
Yeah.
Syrup and butter.
Syrup and butter. They were really good before they ended up in that box.
Smashed into a box. What else was in the box?
There was some belts and scarves and shit like that.
Nice. Okay. So we've cracked that. We've got to the bottom of that. And no, what I want to talk about, Rachel, is I just want you to tell me about your life, man. I mean, just like growing up, like, where did you grow up?
I grew up here in Chico, actually. I got here when I was almost 4 years old. And my parents, we drove across country from New York and like made some stops, ended up in Arizona. We're about to drive back to Florida, and my dad's friend, who he'd known since he was 6, was like, what's another 1,000 miles? Come to Chico. And we got here July 4th, 1989, and loved it and never left.
So you were born in New York?
I was born in New Jersey, in Manalapan, New Jersey.
Okay. Yeah, I was back there last summer, actually. It was it's crazy back there. But you said you left when you were 4 years old. You came to Chico, and
got potty trained in the trunk of a car, a hatchback. It was me and my 2 sisters, and the car seat and the hump in the center.
Okay. The things we remember.
Yeah.
So how would you describe your life growing up, and what influenced you as you became, to grow up?
I mean, I was homeschooled until I was in the 8th grade, and so that was interesting. I grew up in an apartment complex for like 14 years. I lived in the same apartment complex, and it was awesome because there were a lot of kids that, like, I see people that I grew up with that grew up in the same apartment complex. I was like the only Puerto Rican growing up that I knew in Chico, so that was the Mexican kids didn't like me because I didn't speak Spanish and I wasn't Mexican, and all their boyfriends had crushes on me, and the white kids were like, you're not really white. So I hung out with the burnouts and the park rats in high school because they don't care.
So you're homeschooled? Yeah, I did homeschooling for like a year. I mean, but you went to high school, and then high school's big. High school, I think, hits us hard. Like the things that we get into in high school, really it stays with us like for the rest of our lives. Mm-hmm. So I mean, what were some of your influence? Like, what were some of the characters or personas that you noticed in entertainment or outside of entertainment that really inspired you or motivated you?
Oh gosh, that's an interesting question. I was kind of just drifting through life. I started reading Herman Hesse when I hit puberty, and just really existential stuff.
What's Herman Hesse?
Herman Hesse is he was a writer from the early 18th century, right? The early 1900s. He was friends with Carl Jung, and he wrote books they were fictional, but they pulled a lot from his life, and he was just struggling with the existential dilemma. What's the point? What does life mean? Breaking away from the things that your parents taught you. And I was kind of a depressed teenager, too. I ended up dropping out of high school and just ended up in bad places and shit. And
how would you describe a bad place? Because for me, like, when I was kicked out of every school I ever went to, and I ended up, like, having the cops involved in situations, fights, me running my mouth. I mean, I would get in some serious trouble, expelled and whatnot. So what were some of, like, I guess the worst experiences as far as getting in trouble at an early age?
Well, my mom was a big disciplinarian in my life. You'd say she was abusive, some people might. And so I really wanted to be anywhere but home. And so I would just go to really anywhere that would take me. And sometimes they were pimps and prostitutes. And I ended up being prostituted at the age of 15, 16 years old. And before I left school, I got in trouble my mom was on prescription drugs, so I stole like a bottle of her somas and I took them in class, and I got called to the principal's office, and the principal's like, we're calling your mom down here, we're really worried about you, and I'm just all doped up, and I was like, I have to go out and go help my mom because she's handicapped, and he's like, no, just stay here. I'll go help your mom in. And so he leaves through the front of the principal's office, and I ran out the back of the principal's office.
All right, so hold on. I gotta go back though real quick, because you just dropped a bombshell right here on Mitch, please, Rachel. You were prostituted out at 15, 16 years old here in Chico?
I got turned out here in Chico. The pimp, he was from here in Chico, and then they took me down to San Francisco, and then I ended up in LA and San Jose until I finally made it home after my mother passed away.
Oh my gosh, were they at least paying you well?
Oh yeah, but pimps take all your money. But I mean, I got to buy some nice stuff at Macy's.
That's got to be just traumatic though at 15 years old. I mean, I've heard of that like in other countries that happening, but gosh, for something like that to happen right here close to home, I mean, that's how were you affected by that?
It affected me for a lot of my life. I mean, I'm 30 now, so that was 15 years ago. And I've gotten to a point in my life where there's enough distance that I can be comfortable talking about it as just a fact that's a part of my life. And in another 30 years, it'll just be this thing that's shaped my perspective in the world. But for a long time, I was really fucked up after I stopped doing that. There was a lot of drinking and drugs and fucked up relationships. And then when I was 21, I met a really nice, safe guy. And he and I were together for 8 years until I realized that it wasn't great anymore. But it was stability that I really needed.
I gotta tell you, Rachel, honestly, like, I have a whole newfound respect for you just for the fact that you can actually talk about this and be so open about it. And I'm really taken aback here. This was not expected. No, it's totally fine. Like I said, nothing but respect for you, and I think it's incredible you can talk about this. And hopefully your experiences, maybe if someone's listening that knows someone, or that if this is happening to them, who knows? The internet's crazy like that. Yeah. So Rachel, if you don't mind me asking, what was the most traumatic, or like the most as we have an ambulance, someone else, speaking of traumatic and trauma,
somebody's having a traumatic experience right now.
We got an ambulance
all the time.
We got an ambulance, but no, I mean, what was one of the most, insane, or just like you look back and say, wow, I can't believe that happened?
Yeah, I got, it's weird, I got raped by a client, by John, and he kept telling me he was going to kill me, that he was going to strangle me if I didn't stop crying. I had a knife on me, and I tried to pull it out. I cut my hand on the knife. I was able to, he let me go. And then I was in LA at the time. I called home after that because, obviously. And it was the first time I had called home in a long while, and I hadn't been talking to my mom.
How old were you?
I was 16 years old. And when I called home, my kid sister, nobody answered. And then when I called again, my sister answered and said my mom had just died. So that was happened at the same time that I was being attacked by this guy. My mom had a heart attack on the toilet and died. And so that's been something. It used to be
the
something.
same night you were attacked?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Oh, man. So, when you were 16,
Mm-hmm.
and then how many more were you still involved in that business? I guess you would call it. Would you call it a business?
It's a business off of fucking children, It was.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry that happened to you. Like I said, it's made you stronger, like you said, and it's something that you'll look back at and just be like, well, that just made me who I am and made me stronger and blah. The majority of people won't experience something like that, so
Yeah.
you've been in a situation
Or make it out of that either. The people who do experience that don't make it out of that lifestyle. And so you don't have conversations with people who are like, I seem like a pretty normal person.
Oh, no doubt. So, how old were you the last time you were involved in any kind of situation or, trick?
I was 16. When I was like 18, I let an ex-boyfriend pay me to have sex with him. But I broke up with him and then I needed some money.
You gotta get paid.
Yeah.
So then you met, then you were in a relationship for 8 years, starting at 21 years
married.
old.
Yeah, from 21 to 28.
Okay.
Yeah.
You almost got married.
Almost got married.
What happened?
I am a really slow learner. And I kind of knew something changed inside of me. And I realized this stuff. I think my dad died in 2010. And I think it made me stay with this guy longer than I should have. He and I had been together for 4 years at that point. And I think I stayed longer because it was stable and I knew it. And I love him. I still love my ex. He was my best friend for a long time. But I had this realization that it wasn't the life that I wanted to live, and I tried to wake him up to it and tell him, like, hey, this isn't what I want, like, let's shake things up. And he wasn't getting it, and I just realized I had an affair, and I left.
Yeah. Well, it's good that, people can realize that, hey, it's not going to work, and you can still care for that person,
Absolutely, yeah.
So, okay, Rachel, so I want to transition here. Big 180, big transition. Not very smooth transition, but going back, like, what got you into, the stand-up comedy world? Because that's how I know you.
Yeah,
I know you from seeing you on stage and talking about some of your experiences on stage, and that's why I was like, gosh, I really want to talk to Rachel, because I bet you she's got a very interesting story. So, what got you into performing, and when was the first time you performed?
Okay. The first time I performed was November 17th, 2014. So I'm coming up on 2 years of doing stand-up. I've always been a performer. I come from a family of performers, singers and theater performers. I'd done theater, I'd done slam poetry when I was younger. And when I left my ex that summer, I kind of started coming to the comedy nights. And was making all the comedians crack up in the corner. And one of the veterans, Kyle Bone, was like, so when are you going to get on stage? And I was like, I'll do it eventually. And he's like, yeah, that means never. And so I gave myself a 2-week deadline. And I came up with my first bit, which was about a yeast infection that made me want to commit suicide. It was like a 3-minute bit, which is still a great bit. And I haven't looked back. I've always loved comedy. I've got a really dark, irreverent sense of humor. It helps me get through the life. life.
Definitely. And it's an outlet, you know,
it's
because
an outlet.
you need an outlet in life. And with what you've dealt with, I can only imagine, you know, how strong of an outlet and how this makes you feel when you perform and you get those laughs, because you're really funny, Rachel. I mean, you know, I've seen you perform, I mean, say 20, 30 times or so, and booked you in Paradise. Now, I got to make something clear here.
Thank you. That was a great time in Paradise. I'm sad that the Cantina is no longer with us.
I got to make something clear, though, Rachel. I didn't just book you because I think you're hot and I wanted to do stuff with you. I got to make that clear. That's part of the reason, but that's not the whole reason. It's because you have great talent. You're very funny.
Thank you.
You're very personable, and people want to look at you and watch you perform and listen to what you have to say. So let's just jump into it. How was how many shows did you do at the Cantina?
I did 2 shows at the Cantina, and they were fun shows because it's a completely different audience. But there were people who came out to laugh, and the thing I love is the women. I've had a difficult time. My mother and I had a really tumultuous relationship, to put it lightly. And so I've never really trusted women. But I've always had this yearning to have meaningful relationships, intimate relationships with them. And so comedy's given me this avenue to connect with women. And when I have women come up and be like, I never had a yeast infection before, and then you told your joke and I was like, oh my God, that's what that was. It was just like, damn, girl. Or just, you know, I tell some rape jokes, and it's opened me up as a person unintentionally. It's not like I set out trying to have this voice, but I connect with the women when I'm on stage, and I love it.
Yeah, and with the men too. And it's funny you said you did a rape joke and it really opened you up. There's a joke there. There's a great joke there. I can't tell it, but there's definitely a great joke there.
I'll tell all of the rape jokes. That's what.
Yes, it's good.
If you've got a good one, I'll tell it.
So, performing at the Cantina, you must have been those last 2 shows, I'm guessing, with that awesome microphone. What'd you think of that microphone?
That was
Describe
hilarious. It was heavy, like ridiculously heavy, and I haven't been working out in a long time, so.
About 45 pounds.
No, yeah, it's like a 45-pound mic, and it's really difficult to be bouncy on stage when you're lifting weights.
It was a 45-pound mic, and it was from 1945.
It was okay. Yeah, so 5 years after my dad was born. Yeah, and it was like this old like radio MC mic that you would use. So you just have to pick it up, and I knew I wasn't gonna stand still on the stage. Like I'm not gonna be. So I decided to pick it up. And
that was great. I remember your set. I thought it was one of the actually better sets there of all 4 shows that we ran there. It is a shame the Cantina closed down. But switching gears here, what were some of your other more memorable performances at some of the other shows that you've been booked on and performed on?
Gosh, let's see. I performed at the Blue Room for Mizz Alma's show, A Night at the Apollo, and that was really fun. Because it's a theater and you've got that wall. It's unlike any other room that you're going to do stand-up in with the crowd surrounding you. And I had a bottle of Jameson stashed in my titties, which was pretty fun. And then the No Dick All Jane shows are really fantastic to be a part of.
Those are at the Maltese, right?
Those are at the Maltese, and it was the first of its kind all-women shows, and we pull a really big crowd because there are people who are dying, like, there are people who like stand-up comedy who come out for an all-women show who don't normally come out, and it's exciting to see just generations of women, people bringing their moms and their grandmas out, and you can really, I mean, I have women-centric comedy, so it really flies there. It's a different energy.
Yeah, there's lots of talented women in this Chico comedy scene. I mean, you know, Mizz Alma, like you mentioned, Becky Lynn, Sydney Hupp. I mean, lots of great talent out there.
The concentration is amazing here for the size of the town. We've got a good concentration.
Yeah, and I gotta ask you, what's it like with you ladies? I mean, are you guys ever battling it out? Are you guys really supporting each other? Is there a lot of camaraderie? Do you feel that there's a competitiveness?
I think there's a competitiveness that's natural, but I think you also have to remind yourself, comedy, like any other art form, is subjective. So you can't really compare yourself to other people. If you are, you're going to lose focus. Does it come into your head? Absolutely. But I'm just excited to see women. You know, I can't really get excited about Hillary Clinton being the first female presidential nominee, even though I know it should be a monumental occasion, and I feel really sad that I can't connect with that. But having so many women in the comedy scene, I connect with that, and you just want to lift up your sisters, and
I gotcha.
Yeah, it's exciting.
I gotcha. They told us here at the studio we can't be talking about politics, though, Rachel.
Yeah,
we gotta be careful over here.
Censorship.
but no, much love to the studio. And though here we are over here, we're getting ready for an open mic here tonight, and you're talking about women in comedy. I want to kind of stick on that for a second, because I don't really look at it as women in comedy. I look at everyone as a comedian, and I mean, like, Amy Schumer is one of my favorite comedians, and it's not because she's a woman. It's I don't know. A lot of people want to categorize, you know, the divisions or something, but it's like, no, like you said, it's subjective, and if you're funny, you're funny, male, woman, you know, donkey, whatever. So anyways, Rachel, I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. Going back though, 2014 you started doing comedy. Who were some of the people that you were influenced by? Did you listen to, whether it be some of the locals or some more well-known comedians or entertainers on television? I
mean, I've been Louis C.K., big fan since before the idea to ever even do stand-up comedy entered my head. I used to stay up late as a teenager and just watch Comedy Central and watch the stand-up comedians, and when the comedy show with Finding the Stand-Up Comedian started showing for the first time, I remember watching that. Eddie Murphy.
Love Eddie Murphy.
Love Eddie Murphy. My parents were big fans of Steve Martin and Billy Crystal, so I remember hearing those on cassette tapes and whatnot. And then here in Chico, you know, Mark Leathers.
Yep.
Mark Leathers has made me cry laughing in tears, and he's fantastic. He should be doing bigger things.
Oh, he will. I gotta say real quick, everyone, all three of you guys from the Chico Comedy Team that come on Mitch Please so far have mentioned Mark Leathers right away, and I gotta say, he's coming to Mitch Please. Yeah. He will be on the show. We've just got to get our schedules lined up, because that guy is amazing, and like you said, he will be doing great things. But who else in the scene?
Don Ashby. I mean, Don Ashby's got this dark kind of humor, and I connect with that. Jerm Leather. Jerm Leather is one of my favorites. He cracks me up. It's, you know, I get tickled watching him. TJ Hudson, he's a funny, cocky son of a bitch.
He's way too pretty.
Yeah, I can kick him in his shins. I'm pretty sure he's gaining weight. Like, I saw him, his face is looking a little fat. So.
I hope so. I gained a bunch of weight. It's only fair, but
we all are.
But no, we have a lot of seems like we're similar taste. I mean, definitely agree with you on all of that. And what's your plan, Rachel? What do you see yourself doing in this comedy world, or do you see yourself, you know, exploring other things? I mean, what are you thinking?
I just want to keep pushing it and getting better and finding my voice, you know. People don't realize the evolution of a comedian, and how, I mean, I'm a baby. And I'm still, the comedy that I'm telling now is probably not going to be what I'm doing later on. But I like traveling, I like people, I like drinking, and
gotta be careful though.
And so
I feel you.
I just, you know, I want to follow it wherever it takes me.
Yeah, no, definitely, and you're super young. It's hard to think because we've started at the same time, and I took a lot of months off. But God, you're so incredible, and you've only been doing it for less than 2 years. And where are you going to be in 2 more years and
Exactly.
6 more years, 10 more years if you stick with it? I mean, that's a great thing about comedy is we can do this till we're 65, 75, 100.
Absolutely.
Really, why not? As long as you can talk and remember
as long
stuff.
As I'm fucking live, I can do this, and it's kind of exciting because I come from my grandparents. They came with their parents. From Russia and Poland, and they were theater performers. They got married, and their last name, my grandfather's last name was Moskowitz, and they changed it from Moskowitz to Myles, because it wasn't popular to be Jewish in the 30s. But they were performers, and my sister Sarah is an amazing singer, and my kid sister Hannah is a painter, and we've been discouraged in society from living this artist lifestyle, but I'm kind of an artist. That's so pretentious. It's the most. I'm an artist.
Hey, you do what you want to do and how you want to do it, and if you can't live life like that, then why even? What's life worth? You know what I mean? So
that's the life I left with my. It was a white picket fence life, and.
Yeah, you don't look like a white picket fence kind of girl. You seem like you're very raw, Rach. Like, you get on stage and you just let it all out and you're just real, and that's why people connect to you. And I really want to thank you again for coming on this show this week. I want to get you back on because I'm sure you got lots of great more stories to tell, but we are getting low on time and we got to get in there and get ready.
I'm on stage.
Anything upcoming in the month of June or July you'd like to talk about before you get out of here?
I wish I had something upcoming, but nothing, unfortunately,
well,
at the moment. Just life, Come visit me at my work, Tin Roof Bakery and Cafe. I'll make you some food.
That's what's
I
up.
make beautiful salads.
But not too salty, I hope, right?
No, not too salty. I've not been crying into it lately.
Well, let's get your book, April. Let's get the word out there. Everybody needs to follow Rachel Myles. Check her out on Facebook. What's your Twitter?
My Twitter is Miss R Myles. Myles with a Y. Myles.
All right, Rachel. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
So there you have it, Rachel Myles of the Chico comedy scene. Probably the most emotional interview that I've done here on Mitch Please so far. And nothing but respect for Rachel. As we were talking about, open mic comedy is a great thing going on in Chico right now. It's every Monday at the Maltese. Sign up at 8. Show starts at 9. And every Wednesday at the Studio Inn. Same thing. Get there at 8, sign up, and show goes live at 9 o'clock. It's a great time. A lot of the more established comedians are there. They'll probably listen to your bit, and if you ask them what they think, they'll probably give you their honest opinion. So if anyone out there wants to give it a shot, what are you waiting for? Just get up there and do it. Time's a wasting. So I'll tell you guys what, it's a crazy world we live in. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's tough for me. Like, it's tough for me. I've been chasing my damn dreams since I was 18. Wanting to be a pro wrestler and wanting now to kind of see what else I can do in the entertainment field, as far as maybe it's comedy, maybe it's acting, maybe it's podcasting. I mean, I don't know. It is a tough world to live in. It is tough to make it, especially when you pursue your dreams on the independent entertainment level. But I'm going to keep going. There's nothing that's going to stop me. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I really appreciate having this outlet because I've got a lot of things on my mind all the time, and it feels good to get them off. And it feels great to talk to people that are pursuing their dreams and finding out what makes them tick and how they got started and some of their most memorable experiences. So I'm gonna continue to do this. I don't care if even 5 people are listening. I know we got more people listening than that, and I want more people listening to this show. So again, guys, like Mitch Please on Facebook. You probably already have, so just invite your friends to do it. I mean, share the page. Go to youtube.com/TheMitchValentine. Subscribe to the channel. Share the channel. Share the episodes. It takes a couple seconds, but it means so much as far as getting the awareness out, and not only getting, my show out, but it's getting these people that I'm interviewing. It's getting their story out there. I mean, let's get this out there. Let's do big things, as my uncle used to say. We got to do big things, bro. We got to do big things. So All right, guys, that's going to be it for this week. Once again, Drake Nelson will be on the show next week, episode 8. I can't wait for that. And right now, I want to talk about one more thing. I want to talk about the House Cats. Episode 2, we brought in Robin Valentine, my mother of the House Cats, and we talked about what they're doing. Again, every Wednesday at the Italian Garden in Paradise, 6:30 to 9:30. Every Saturday, at Smoky Mountain Steakhouse in Paradise, same thing, 6:30 to 9:30. I was able to swing by and check her out at the Italian Garden this past Wednesday, and we're going to go ahead and send it over to the House Cats. Probably my favorite song that they do. Go ahead and take it away. Meow.
Straighten up.